and welcome to Brew Tap Cast. I am Tap here. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Erebos' Memoir of Death, which is the current week's Festival of the Gods event on Magic Arena. This one is Historic Brawl. It comes on the heels of Historic Anthologies 2 just dropping on Magic Arena. Regards to that, we wanted to make a deck that incorporates some of those cards and also maybe some more recent additions to Arena, like the Gitrog monster, who is our commander for this Brawl deck. A couple of the cards that we included from the Historic Anthologies. One is Baron Moor. It's a cycling land that is a black producing land. We also have Tranquil Thicket, again, the green producing land that we can cycle for a green, and then Terravor. So these are all sort of cards that were based around lands and graveyards, sort of things, which the Gitrog monster really likes. That's the sort of basic of the deck as far as it goes with Historic Anthologies. What does the deck do overall? Well, the Gitrog monster. He's our big sort of thing that we want to ramp out. We're going to draw a bunch of cards. We're going to play some more lands. Really, the possibilities of drawing a bunch of cards with green and black in this particular deck is pretty dang high. Normally, green doesn't have the greatest card draw. Black's generally, got a downside in this particular case. You can play multiple lands a turn, draw some cards when things go to the graveyard, and really, power through your deck. Why do we want to do that? Well, we can get to some really nice things in this color pair. So we're going to try to ramp out our Gitrog monster. We have Arcane Signet. We have Paradise Druid. We have Dryad of Elysian Grove. We have Wayward Swordtooth. We have Leyline Prowler. We have Death Sprout. And that is all of our sort of ramping abilities. So those are a lot of things that we can go try to ramp into the Gitrog monster. Once we have him out, we can be cycling lands from our graveyard back to play with Crucible of Worlds. So we can be not losing that value of having, being down on lands, that sort of thing. We could even use Assassin's Trophy to blow something up and go get a basic for our own, like kill one of our things. So there's a lot of synergy there. Every time something goes to the graveyard landwise, we can gain some life with Scolded Grove Dancer. So there's a lot of synergy in this. The Crucible of Worlds can sort of be seen as an anti-synergy in regards to something like Terravor, but we're really not looking to play all of our lands out of our graveyard as fast as we can. It's more of a, if we ever get stuck and we don't draw lands, we are not losing all of our lands to the Gitrog monster. Yeah, maybe that slows down Terravor a little bit, but it's still going to be pretty powerful. So we also have Elder's Reclaimer, so we can go and search up some lands. That's pretty nice. If we want some instant speed card draw, that's going to sack a land. We get to draw a card with Gitrog. We go get another land out of our graveyard, put it in a battlefield. So things like Wayward Swordtooth should be easily turned on with our ramp and extra lands that we're being able to play. So that's a nice early beater, also early blocker to try to help us stay alive. Again, we're going to want the Scolded Grove Dancer to give us some life. We have pretty big removal package. We have Murderous Rider, we have Dread Presence, we have Vraska's Contempt, Death Sprout, Assassin's Trophy, Vraska Golgari Queen, Vraska Relic Seeker, Garrett Cursed Huntsman, Liliana Dreadhorde General, as well as Finale of Eternity, and then Tetsamok as a huge amount of removal. So we're hoping really to sort of being able to pepper in creature removal, things like that, and get up to our Gitrog and then just sort of go off to the races. Once we are there, we want to beat down with stuff like Wayward Swordtooth, Spawn of Mayhem, Twilight Prophet. That'll again help us draw some extra cards, give us a little bit of a life buffer, drain our opponent out. We do have a lot of large mana cost cards in this deck, so Twilight Prophet's a little bit more at a premium in this particular deck because we will get some pretty nice drains. Questing Beast is another big boy that we're going to smash in with. We get our Tetsamok, as we mentioned before, Carnage Tyrant, Multani, who should be pretty large. We should be able to get some lands out of our deck and slam them on the board and go to town. Garrick, we don't have any in-deck sack outlets to kill those particular wolves, but being able to attack in and get some things there, we could definitely emblem this card without too much trouble, I think. And that'll just make everything even bigger. So Great Henge to help gain life, give some things counters to make things a little bit more powerful. So that's sort of the basic idea of the deck, is to try to get our Gitrog early, have some removal. Another nice synergy in here, as sort of, it could even be a game finisher. So you saw that Multani allows you to return lands to our hand if he's in the graveyard. we like playing lands, particularly basic lands in this case. So Dread Presence pairs well with the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. This makes all of our basic swamps. So whenever we play any basic, we can drain for 2, or we can draw a card. So it's a pretty nice little combo there. We are going to be sacrificing lands to the Gitrog monster, replaying them out of our graveyard, multiple at a turn if we want to, tack in, suicide in with Multani. We get some damage in, he dies, we return some lands, we play those lands. So it's theoretically possible that we can play up to 3 to 4 lands a turn. We have our Gitrog giving us an additional land, we have Wayward Swordtooth, as well as the Dryad, and then our normal land drop. So we theoretically be taking 4 lands a turn. So all in all, it's a pretty powerful deck. I think it can go the distance. So this is what I'm planning on playing for this Erebos' Memoir of Death. Downsides to this deck. Well, as we can see with the curve, anything that comes out of the gate really fast is just going to trample us over. I mean, we have 1 5-drop. Sure, that's not that big of a deal. But we have 8, 8, 8, 3, 4, and 6 plus drops. So we are definitely on the higher end. Our average is 3.9. We're split fairly evenly between creatures, non-creatures. But anything aggressive is going to be a problem with this deck. I don't know what's going to be in this queue. It's a new sort of format. There's new cards being added. I think it's probably going to be pretty tilted towards aggressive. Generally, when there's new card pools, new formats, people go aggressive because people who are trying to sort of brew different things don't really know what to expect, and you might just get run over by a Tajik deck or something like that. So that's the one thing to look out for. If you feel like you're playing maybe a Boros color deck or white weenies or like mono green ramp or something like that, you might need to try to play towards your outs, which is getting your removal out first, maybe not ramping into Gitrog, stemming that early damage, maybe not, waiting for a Finality of Eternity to be really, the big winner or anything like that. You might just have to pull the trigger for maybe, a couple 3 toughness creatures, something like that if you can't get there. So that's sort of our biggest problem there. The other issue that we could see is people playing Bojuka Bog. So now that we have a way to mass wipe graveyards, that could be an issue for this particular deck. We do care about the graveyard in the sense of we like putting lands there. We like playing lands out of there. Our Terravor will die if someone Bojuka Bogs our graveyard when we have a bunch of lands in there. We theoretically could run out of lands in our deck if we just have a boatload in the graveyard that we're powering through with the Gitrog monster and we just don't play them out as much as we should. So you could worry a little bit about graveyard hate. That said, you might be thinking, all right, well, we're going to draw an awful lot of cards with this deck. We're going to churn through things, whether it's with the Twilight Prophet or the Gitrog, sacking a bunch of lands, cycling a bunch of lands, playing lands, all that kind of stuff. We may run into some milling ourselves out problem, but that's why we have this guy. So Loaming Shaman's a nice way to sort of save that. If we find that, oh man, we're churning too far through our deck too fast, let's go ahead and Loaming Shaman all back in, or, whatever number of cards back in. So we do have a little bit of a safety valve there in that card. Outside of that, we have a little bit of recursion with Acolyte of Affliction. We're not really too heavily invested in that. We also have Journey to Eternity, definitely not Journey to Nowhere, to help get things back on the battlefield, and that can be big things, small things, whatever. Shadow Spear also in there to try to go against hexproof decks or god-based decks, things like that. And the fact that you can get a little bit of lifelink also could help against some of the more aggressive decks. So that's why we included that in the deck. Again, you could be gaining life with Skull Grove Dancer as well. So, it doesn't look too bad against maybe mid-range to long game decks. I'm not sure how this would fight against a control deck. We are looking to try to have a lot of sort of multiple effects and things like that on the board at the one time. So, if we can have a bunch of effects, cast a couple spells in one turn, we're looking to outpower, hopefully, the controlling-based decks. We also have a little bit of a board wipe for certain things with Finality. Suggestions for if we are running into a lot of aggressive things, try swapping in a bunch of smaller, more death-touchy creatures. Falmar Knight allows you to draw some cards or play out something. If you need more recursion, maybe grab some sort of recursion or spells that you can sack and bring things back, things like that. Maybe want to bring in Ritual of Soot if we're getting run over, again, by aggro decks, things like that. Any sort of nice wrath effects. Pride of the Conquerors, or is that... I think it's Pride of the Conquerors. Dig back into Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan. Those have some pretty good cards that you can use for that sort of thing. So that's that for the deck. I hope that this works out really well. I was excited to build this deck. I was excited to play Gitrog Monster, and I think this has some staying power. We are kind of a little bit almost like a Super Friends deck, but once you get rolling, you can probably power through a lot of the decks that are going to be in there. And again, we're going to hopefully be drawing so many cards. So yeah, that's the deck tech. We're not going to be doing any games for this. Brawl games can go pretty long, so we didn't end up recording any games. We will not record any games for this, most likely, unless we have a large interest in it. I think this definitely is a alpha version of this deck. There's probably some good changes to be made that can adjust towards the meta. Again, with Historic Anthology 2 just dropping, there's going to be a little bit of an uptick in Historic, and then Historic Brawl in particular, maybe, I don't know. But definitely fun to tinker around with. I definitely suggest trying this event out. You will most likely, and I hope this to be the case anyway, see a bunch of different decks. And if you see a bunch of different decks, you're going to be playing a bunch of different games, and that's really exciting. And I hope that it's a lot of fun. So let us know how you do. Let us know what decks you run. I'm going to be running this deck, maybe run some other things, try to go more aggressive, try to go more controlling, and then see what's out there. Have fun with this event. It's first to 3 wins. Or sorry, not first 3 wins. You get up to 3 wins. You get Angry Yelly Boy, the black demigod that exiles things from graveyards and is a 2x, and then as well as Erebos alternative art. They have not, or maybe they have released, sorry. They have released the other card, and that is Drag of the Underworld. So this is your page here, so you'll get Timuret, that's his name, and then Erebos card styles for this. And again, new card, so hopefully you won't get Meddling Maged out of the game. That's always the worst sort of thing, and you can always be upset if that happens. So there is a couple banned things. Oh, actually, never mind. Meddling Mage is banned, which is really nice. And that's all. So try this event out. Have some fun. Let us know what you run. Let us know how you did. What cool things happened. What terrible things happened, and that sort of stuff. That's all for the video today. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much. I will see you next time. Cheers.